In the early 2000s, Columbia got to be a little experimental with their direct-to-video sequels. Other studios were making direct-to-video sequels, but they followed a very strict formula. Columbia, on the other hand, got to play around. Do you have a failed pilot for Cruel Intentions TV show? Well, add some nudity and bad language, suddenly you have a prequel. Do you want to make a sequel to Starship Troopers? Set it entirely inside of a fortress and make it a horror movie. Do you want to try to revive a 90s horror brand after a box office bomb that did well on video? Well, I'll always know what you did last summer. Starring Brooke Nevin, David Patow, Tori DeVito, and Ben Easter, from a script by Michael D. Weiss, Sylvian White directs this 2006 movie. The film follows five friends who pull a prank at a carnival on the 4th of July. The prank goes wrong and one of them accidentally dies. The four survivors decide they're going to take this secret to their grave, which is coming sooner than they expected. Okay, so the good. The idea of doing a sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer that's not connected to the first two films is not a bad idea on paper. You can go back to the book, follow it closer, change some character names, focus more on tension than gore. You're set. I think the actor who plays the sheriff does a really great job, and he's a good red herring. You really can feel his grief. Characters are traumatized, and you really do feel that. The gore is nice. It's practical, which is good. It's better than having CGI blood throughout. The bad? Oh boy, okay. The characters are bland. They're forgettable. Our main character is named Aaron. Erica? Eva. Amber. Our main character is named Amber. Yeah. She is tortured. She's an artiste with a camera and a mountain bike, and she likes to take photos and make collages on her wall. She's just so dark and tortured by the events. And her best friend Zoe plays in a band. She gets like one or two lines to be sarcastic. Amber's boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, uh, uh, he's an asshole. It really feels like they're trying to make him what Barry was in the first movie. And he's suitably douchey. The Fisherman works in the first two movies because of their locations. The first one is set in a rural fishing town off the coast. It's not unusual to see somebody with a slicker. First one has a great running gag of everybody has this same damn slicker, and so it's hard to pick the killer out of a crowd. The second one, even though it's set at the Bahamas, it's storming the entire time, so the killer doesn't look out of place. This movie is set in Colorado. It's a state well known for its fishing and being right on the ocean coast. Jesus. At one point, our lead gets a note addressed to her, and it's an obvious callback to the first movie. She opens the note, and you're expecting it to say, I know what you did last summer. But instead, it's a note from her parents that says, have fun while we're gone, don't have any parties, we're sorry that they didn't cast us to be in this movie. We would love you, but we don't care. And the audience goes, yeah, okay, whatever. Because you know what? This is 2006. This is 2006, and paper and pen are not scary. Do you know what's fucking scary? Text messages. Let's do 50 missed text messages that all say the same thing. I know what you did last summer. That's fucking terror right there. There's bad ADR at points in the movie. Because it's much easier to add exposition in post production than writing the line the first time. And then they go back to talking like normal in the next cut. I like horror movies, but I also really like Broadway musicals. The color grading on this, they're trying to make it look eerie, but instead it literally has a scene that looks like the before picture in a Claritin ad, where our lead is riding her bike up a mountain, and all the grass around her is brown and yellowish and just doesn't look good. And I kept waiting for the swipe, and suddenly everything's beautiful and green. I've never been to Colorado in the summer. It could be accurate, but it doesn't look good. The cheap stock footage just looks. Is that a fucking hair on the lens? Jesus Christ.
It's gonna be tough this year.
It's gonna be tough every year.
Okay, that's a good line. And that's delivered really well. Okay, believe it or not, there is an explanation for that. And it's dumb. Our fisherman this time is played by Don Shanks. And Don Shanks was famous for being Michael Myers in Halloween 5. He adds a good physicality to the fisherman, and he's scary. When they're not making him do dumb things. Jesus. You know, one of the things I've learned over the years is that a bad movie is rarely one person's fault. The director, Sylvian White, he's gone on to direct TV episodes. He's gone on to do a few movies. He did The Losers from 2010, and I really liked that movie. I thought that movie was what the A-Team movie should have been. Michael Weiss went on to write other movies. He did the 2008 Journey to the Center of the Earth. I didn't see it, but it got good reviews, and it did well enough financially that it got its own sequel. He also wrote the sequel Hostel 3, which, while being cheaper and not as enjoyable as the first two Hostel movies, I kind of dug. The actors in this movie, they've been in TV shows and they've done good work. I've seen this movie 3 times now. The first time I saw it, I was a teenager and it had just come out. I didn't like it. I remember talking to a buddy at school, and I had said that I thought it would have been better if it wasn't called I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. If it was something like The Fisherman or The Hook, then I wouldn't be so disappointed. I saw it again a couple years ago when I got this box set. And I sat down and I watched all 3 of them. The main thing I remember from that viewing was just thinking about how much potential the idea has. How you could take I Know What You Did Last Summer, take the bare bones and the foundation, and make something unique with it. You could go the anthology route where every time it tells a different story of a different group. This time, I was just waiting to get to the twist. That's stupid. Stupid fucking twist. Jesus Christ. Okay. Spoiler alert for a 20-year-old direct-to-video movie that the mainstream public has forgotten about and only horror fans really remember. As you watch the movie, things happen and you go, how'd he do that? And eventually you start to think that there's no way the fisherman is human this time. Because he's not. See, there's a scene in the movie where characters are talking, and one of them pulls out a scrapbook of how they got the idea about this fisherman killer for their prank. And, oh, look, it's a newspaper. And see, it says here, Ben Willis dressed as a fisherman and he killed people on the 4th of July. But people got away. And then a year later, he went down to the Bahamas and he attacked and he killed them all. But he died.
There's no way.
Was it because they didn't want to do a whodunit again? Was it because the teen who died at the beginning very clearly dies? Was it because they couldn't come up with a reasonable answer why so and so would go mad? You don't want to make it the sheriff. It's too obvious that he'd be killing in revenge for his son's death. You don't want to make it the cousin who is in love with the main girl. You don't want to make it the deputy who is also in love with the main girl. The main girl mentions in the beginning that her boyfriend's going off to college for his freshman year and that next year she'll be able to join him. So we're setting up that she's a junior. She's 17. Prank happens, a year passes. She's 18 now. This deputy looks about the same age as her. But realistically, I'm doing like math in my head of, okay, well, Dewey in Scream is a deputy and he's 25. This movie just frustrates me because I see the good. Look at this shot. That's a smart shot. Good job. For every one good thing this movie does, 5 more dumb things pop up. And it's just exhausting to watch. This movie was received worse than the second one. The second one has a really low Rotten Tomatoes score, but this sits at 0%. For years, they've talked about, oh, we want to see a third I Know What You Did Last Summer because the public forgot about it. I do not begrudge anybody in this movie or who worked on this movie. Sometimes a movie just comes out bad. As much as I didn't like this movie, it made me nostalgic. People got to cut their teeth on direct-to-video movies. You had writers who this was their first thing that they got to do. They got to work on a Disney movie and make a bad sequel. And then when they write a play, it'll get to say, from the writer of Lion King 2. I'm not kidding. I'm speaking from experience. I've done that play. You had people who would get to show up in a horror movie because it was cheap. It was their first big movie experience. And suddenly you have Henry Cavill getting killed by Pinhead. fun to revisit some of these sometimes. Not this movie. I do not recommend it. And yet, it's still better than the TV show.